Obviously, I did wait till Sunday to do my opening. A little worn out yesterday. The last 2 days got a little tickle in my throat. I had one of our clients say, "Did you take a rapid test?" No, you are allowed to get a little sick from time to time. It doesn't always have to be COVID. In fact, it could be the monkeypox. The monkeypox are coming. Um, and tornadoes. What a weird weekend, right? I'm looking at the headlines, scrolling down different various sites on Twitter or social media, and it was monkeypox or tornadoes in Ontario. There actually was a couple of tornadoes touched down in Ontario. I saw there was a couple in Michigan also. Just a weird weekend for weather. Now, I told everybody, I'll tell you what, I dodged a bullet yesterday. I was literally going to leave the Meadows and drive straight to Ontario to drive Levitor. And, it was one of my partners had said to me, they said, why are you doing this? Well, here's a horse that shut his air off on James last week. I only put him in the class at Flamborough so that he would have raced for a purse less than. If you guys have watched the way the condition sheets in Ontario are being written, at least at Mohawk, one of the conditions is horses that raced for a purse of less than 15, less than 12,000 last 4 starts. So my thinking was we could race him there. I assume he would do well. If he didn't fit the bottom class, he would be able to fit in one of these classes for the next 4 starts and get a real good gauge of him. I think Levitor is on the cusp of doing some good things. He raced great. Keep in mind, he raced great 2 starts ago for me at Mohawk. If I move him, he's a winner. Now he's second. The horse at 1 looked pretty convincing, but he raced well, raced very well. And the next week, James went to drive him, and he was all over the track down the lane. Now, this is indicative of a horse that has lost his air, right? But I'm not sure that he lost it in the mile. I watched the replay 3-4 times. I can't see where James snugged him up where he shut his air off. There's always the possibility he shut it off in the warm-up. If there's swelling in that, he could have shut it off the day before jogging. Now, the horse jogs quiet. I see Cindy jog him. I mean, Ava could jog the horse. So, regardless of what happened, the results were simple. Upon scoping him, there was redness and swelling in his palate. He shut his air off. Just no idea where it actually happened. But it happens. So, I'm thinking that in my mind. I don't want to throw somebody on him for the first time. Plus, he gets bumpy in the turns on a half-mile track, whereas the hobble's tight. So now I have to ask somebody to, in the pouring rain, because it was supposed to rain, go to the track. Well, Travis Henry was going to be there anyway. Put the bike on him, set the hobbles, make sure there's a gate and pole on the inside. Don't shut his air off, but leave with him. I mean, this is a lot to ask of somebody who's never sat behind Levitor, and I love the horse. I love Levitor. So did I want to drive 5.5 hours to drive a horse for $6,000 at Flamborough only to get in my car and come back to Northfield the next day? No, but I was willing to. And as I said, just felt a little tired the last couple of days. Fine now. I mean, the remnants of whatever was bugging me is gone, but I feel fine now. A little congested, but with the weather, that happens anyway, right? It was 31 degrees in the shade yesterday at the Meadows. It's about 15 degrees Celsius today. Now, it was raining in the morning here. I didn't want to waste today, so I was going to get up and go tinker with Dustin Hanover, right? This horse that we bought that we're looking to race. Wasn't happy with the way he was trotting the other day. The more miles we get into him with his shoes like this, the more comfortable he'll get. So as I talk about it more at 1:30 or so, I may go out and go a slow mile with Dustin Hanover. Don't know. I saw the gate. One of the gates closed. I don't know if the track's closed on Sundays. One of the gates is open. One of the gates is closed. I guess it's probably one of these situations where it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So if I go, I'll probably go with them at the other gate. Now, enough about that. We had a great week at the stable again. Obviously, excitement is mounting. Stress is mounting for me when it comes to getting the babies going, right? A lot of you know that on Friday of next week, we're going to bring, if we're allowed, now I did ask permission, if we're allowed, we're going to bring 10 to 12 horses over to school. So these would be the PA breds, the New York breds, so Cutie Cumber and Silent Assassin will be going over. And potentially some of the New Jersey breds. And one horse that I want to get some gate work into and Sip It on My Shine. You guys that's been well documented. Why? Because he's a lunatic. And I think he's only going to learn when we get them on the gate. Get them on the gate and get them working. So, super excited. It's here. We're here now. We're getting the babies out and getting them going, getting them schooled this week. Now, Ontario starts around the second week of July. Ohio now starts around the second week of July. New Jersey saw a horse like Brace for Landing. No rush. As I said, my preliminary thoughts on Brace for Landing and a couple of horses like him would be have them ready to go. I'd like to have one or two prep races before what could be a start in the Houghton. Now, Carter Michael Dio, who's paid into the Houghton, is also New Jersey bred, so he is going over to school next Friday and get behind the gate in a couple of horses like him. But at the same token, there are some horses that we have our eyes quietly on Grand Circuit events, and you only get 10 to 13 starts into these babies. You don't want to have them ready too early. You don't want to tire them out. You don't want to race them too much. So you're left looking at, 1, the calendar you'd love to see them follow, 2, the calendar that's possible, and 3, a contingency calendar where if things aren't the way you want them to be, this is what we do. So this is what I'm left doing all the time, aside from racing and driving and doing everything I'm doing. I'm left quietly, any quiet moments I have, looking at our calendars. So we do have 10 to 12 babies going over to school. Those horses didn't train on Saturday. For those of you who cheat out there and sneak into the back end of our site and see the set lists for Saturday, you'll see that there was some set lists set up. 5 sets were set to go. What I heard, everybody went good. Una Madonna was a little grabby, and Danny went to Seesaw, and she made a break and kind of scattered everybody, which is rare for her. He said she was trotting great. I just felt like we were going too much, and he said, I didn't want to grab her, because remember, we had her up to the university and got her gluteal pouches looked at. There was some swelling in her throat. She seems fine, and she trained fantastic at the open house before that. She trained fantastic when she came back from the open house after that, which was a day after she went to the university. So I don't think there's any concerns, and I was very, very impressed with what I've seen from her. She's starting to get a little racy. Another filly, don't know if we want to get her ready too early. She's a lot of Kentucky, a little bit of New Jersey. Keep in mind, those staking calendars are extensive, but in that long list of stakes is where you're going to find 10 to 13 starts for your babies. So got to be careful what we do with them. We got some real treats this week from some 3-year-olds that really surprised the hell out of me. World for Two, I don't care. You can be as optimistic as you want. Nobody thought that this horse was going to win like that in 51-3. I carried those shares for 2 years, and then you guys scooped them all off me. But I'm happy. Listen, I'm happy for our clients to do well. I'm happy that World for Two looks like a really nice horse. A lot of people ask me, is he going to the Sire Stakes? I'd say no. I mean, he's racing good, but 49.50, is he going to be able to do that? I like what I see from the colt right now, and I don't think there's any reason to really stretch his neck out. I mean, the way it sits right now, he's one of the better Stallion Series colts. Why don't we focus what he's really, really good on, and not get too far ahead of ourselves. It's great to have a colt that you thought would be a 53, 54 pacer that wins convincingly in 51 and a piece. It's a fantastic feeling. But let's not spoil that by, putting him in over his head. There's an argument to be made. I'm not saying you're wrong. There's an argument to be made to put the horse in there. I'd rather not. Even though I don't own any of them, thanks to you, I don't own any of them anymore. I still would think that I would treat him the same as if I owned all of them. And I had this conversation with Tim, and he was of the same ilk. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. We could try him in the Sire Stakes. The other reason you got to be careful is there's only 4 legs in Pennsylvania. So if we go to the Sire Stakes, now you won the first leg of the Stallion Series. If we win the second leg of the Stallion Series, we're looking at more than enough points where you could go race. It's not like Ohio where you can race in the consolation of the Sire Stakes and the final of the Stallion Series. Ohio's great in that regards. You can't do that in Pennsylvania, so you really have to pick one path or the other. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, of the 3 divisions of the Stallion Series in the Meadows last time out, his actually was the slowest one. Even though it was a 52 and 4 mile in the mud, it was the slowest of the 3. And I just think, all things considered, probably best to keep him close to the Stallion Series. And then Patrick the Piranha, out of sight, out of mind kind of. This horse not getting enough respect from me for sure. Going out and winning in 50-2, almost 2 seconds faster than the Open. I know Mark Beckwith's super impressed with him, very happy with him. Stonebridge Simba, we're all very, very happy with Stonebridge Simba, the way he's racing. I see he's in a little tougher this week. He's 6-1 or something, so he had to jump up into what looks like it could be the backup class. You're going to see him hang out around that area all summer long. Still very happy. And on an optimistic note, and I could have led with this, but I don't want to get too far ahead. We sent a very, very nice video by Julie Miller. You guys probably have seen it already, of 3 Point Blue Chip out grazing, jumping around and striking. They said this week, if the examinations of the surgeon and the veterinarian go well, he could be in the pool as early as Friday, which is, I keep saying this, but in my mind, I've been doing this a long time, not as long as some people, but a long time. For you to tell me that horse is ready to start work in a pool is, in my mind, nothing short of miraculous. The job they've done with this horse, listen, horses get injured. We've had our fair share of bad luck, both recently and long-term in the stable. And when we're dealing with living, breathing animals, it's going to happen. Unfortunately, we're going to have horses pass away. We're going to have horses get injured. We're going to do the best we can to mitigate all that. But at the end of the day, it's going to happen. And when you have a horse break a coffin bone, especially the caliber of 3 Point Blue Chip, it is one of the most gut-wrenching things you can see happen. And then for him, if everything goes right, this horse could salvage the end of his racing season, which is, as I said, mind-boggling to me. But nevertheless, I can't deny what I saw in that video. Him up jumping and squealing and striking. He looks amazing, and Julie and Andy Miller have done a tremendous job with this colt. Tie one on. A little disappointing yesterday, as I said in my video. In our minds, she went in 53, and then now was a 3 or 2, whatever it was. We think she's going to go out and put it on them, right? Fastest division, slowest half, I would imagine. 28. I would have done the same thing had I been able to get around Yannick Gingras and I probably would have went 28, 57, and 3 also. I think Palermo Hanover, the way she handled that last turn, the way she picked up speed, carried it, I think she was a winner regardless of who was on the front end. I don't think I would have been able to beat Palermo Hanover, but I do believe I would have been second, no worse than third. It just, Taiwan hasn't learned to sprint hard on the end of the mile yet. And you might say, well, that's just how horses are. No, Eldise Patrick was like that as a 4-year-old when we got him, right? He's not like that anymore. He can sprint on the end of it. You can teach a horse to do that. It's just learning, right? She's racing. She powered past Nominers of 3 company. I see that Scott McEnany's filly, congratulations to him. Scott McEnany's filly won the other division in 54. I didn't watch it, but I saw the line. It looked like a good line. Came from 5th, circled the field, and was a winner. So good for him. You're in stakes company now. These are the toughest of the toughest in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is one of the tougher divisions on planet Earth. So no joke. I think if we get a honest fractions, hotter fractions, a bigger field, we get a chance to race Taiwan on. Hopefully in the All-Stars in 2 weeks, she'll be fine. Hopefully James can go driver. It's on a Sunday. I spoke to him last night about it. So I'd be happy to have him go down and drive her. Obviously, in retrospect, I have no problem telling you when I drove a horse bad. I don't think Stanley Dancer would have been any better than 4th with her yesterday. It's just the way it worked out. I have no problem saying, hey, I did something wrong. I played the hand I was dealt. I was relegated to the 2-hole in the first turn, and she simply just couldn't sprint with them on the end of it. In the stake race yesterday, and got beat for 3rd, but raced well. This is a good filly. Everybody knows she's a good filly, and I think she's going to do very, very good things in Pennsylvania. She's only going to get better, put it that way. We haven't seen the best of Taiwan on, that I'm sure of. As I said, Stonebridge Simba raced good last week. Also, very impressed with him, and I try not to play favorites. You guys know I'm only human. And I said to my wife last night, I think Eldise Patrick has quietly been probably my favorite horse to drive. When you drive him, it's like you're talking to him. It's so weird. I've said this a million times, but when I made front with him on New Year's Eve when I drove him, he was a runaway. A lights out, stone cold runaway, and it was all I could do to throttle him back, and then finally I just cut him loose in the last turn. Now when you drive them, I made front 27 and 1, and we were smoking to get to the quarter. And I just kind of seesawed him a little bit, said, easy, big guy. And you can see when I do it. Go back and watch the video. We come out of the turn. I don't know if you can see my lips move, but you can see his ears just go like this. And he just comes to slay. I could have been over the half in 101. No problem whatsoever. And I know that Aaron and a couple of guys were mad that I didn't just keep rolling. And that annoys me, right? I told Aaron, I said, Aaron, two things. One, he's my horse, and I'm going to get a breather if I can. You can drive however you want. I'm going to get a breather when I can. Secondly, if you wanted to go a half in 56 that bad, there's no one coming the other way. There's no solid line. You can come around me at any point. And, you know, I knew when we got to the TV, I looked up and no one was coming. Before that, I knew I was probably a winner. And Eldie's Patrick, you'd see down the backstretch, I just kind of loosened the lines a little bit and let him roll down. I didn't want to give anybody an opportunity to get up close to me, and he was just super strong yesterday. But he's such a nice horse to drive now, which is the exact opposite of how he was his whole life. Very happy with what I've seen from him. How can't you be? Look at what he's done for us. So the horse is just incredible. Not too many horses have 70,000 made already in that aren't stake horses or open horses have 70,000 made in 2022. It's just been a great ride with this horse, and you know, for every LD's Patrick we buy, we're going to buy a couple more that don't work out. But the thought and the idea that we can get a horse like this for a relatively small amount of money from anywhere. You don't want to shop in Ben's Barn very often, I can tell you that right now. But once in a while we can get lucky, and definitely did with LD's Patrick. Almost there, boss. I like a win. Listen, I'll take a win. But that was a gift the other day, and Scott Coulter, I tell you what, Scotty, he's been at this longer than me, and you know, he knows the score. He called me after the race. Didn't have to. He called. I know what Almost There boss is like. He can get a little hot, a little warm, and he said, "Listen, I cleared to the front, and he just wouldn't release. He wouldn't let go of me, and I didn't want to shut his air off. So I knew the only one that could beat me was probably in behind me. I just took my chances, which is fair. That's a fair assessment of how the race went. You know, the week before he come hard at the half. This week he put him on the front. Both trips were tough on him, but I think the assessment he gave me was an honest assessment. And he also called me to tell me he couldn't be there next week. That he was away, I believe, so he couldn't drive LD's, or he couldn't drive. Yeah, he couldn't drive Almost There boss next week. But James is going to be there anyway. So for the Camelot Classic night, all those finals are that night. So James can drive Almost There boss. I'm happy the horse can get the versatility this horse has shown to get around a half-mile track is impressive. You know, I keep telling you guys, Ontario is a shark tank. Right? Everybody sees they're OSS horses, so we have to be in Ontario. We don't. We have horses in Almost There boss, Century Invictus, a number of other ones that can race anywhere. So what you need to do is take a step back. You know, you have the map. You know, you see Ontario side, and you have this little map of Ontario. Expand it. Look around at exactly what we have and what we don't have, because what we have in Ontario is super impressive. Oh, I thought that was the bet. The horses we have in Ontario are super impressive, even if they aren't, like a horse like Almost There boss. For him to pace, what did he pace last week? 55 and a piece over London. It's a huge mile. That horse can race anywhere. Century Invictus will likely be good tonight at Flamborough Downs. I mean, these are horses that can race anywhere, and I think we are lucky. We are lucky in the sense that we have the flexibility to go anywhere. And this is indicative on our clients too. I've quietly cautioned everybody and told everybody, just go out. If you guys want to look at North America as a place we race rather than where you live or where you're generally racing, I know it's a bit of a pain in the butt to get the fingerprints done for New York and New Jersey. I've been an opponent of the way they do business in those places since we opened the stable. But the reality of the situation is New York State does not care what Anthony McDonald thinks, or you, or anyone else. If they can't, but if they won't work with their breeders, they certainly won't work with me. So I think it would behoove anybody that, and there's a lot of you out there. I see the emails come in. A lot of people buy and sell shares. If you guys are out there and you're thinking of buying shares, and you're hampered and hindered because you don't want to be in New York and New Jersey, one, I don't blame you. But two, it may be wise to go out and get a national racing compact license. Because to be able to take a horse like Century Invictus out of Ontario, maybe ship him to Yonkers, that horse would crush in Yonkers for a while. He's a half mile specialist type horse, racing against horses at venues outside of Flamborough, at venues that do not suit him. Woodbine is great, but they can go faster than Century Invictus at Woodbine. He races those same horses at Yonkers, might be a different story. And people don't talk about it, but Ontario is still one of the toughest jurisdictions around. 100% one of the toughest jurisdictions. You are going to see at least one grassroots race, if not more, this summer go sub 150 in Ontario. I guarantee it. They did last year. A couple of times, 3 times maybe. So I think everybody should take a look at what I look at every day. When I look at Century Invictus, I see North America. Some of you guys look at Century Invictus and you see Ontario. And there's so much more out there for us. You know, perfect example is the ability to move Patrick DePrano. Yeah, we bought Patrick DePrano for Ontario. He's going to do real good in Massachusetts. Real good. Stonebridge Simba. He was getting thumped. He got beat at Flamborough 3 times. 3 times, I think, at Flamborough Downs. By horses that should never beat him. Put him on a truck, send him somewhere. He sharpens up and comes to life like he always did. He did when we sent him to Tim. He did when he came here with Jason or with Billy. He was sharp anytime we ever moved him. He's doing the same thing now with Mark. So the ability to move our horses around is paramount. I've talked about it a couple of times. I am actively looking at sending a group of horses to Oak Grove in Kentucky. They go for good money. Well, we have to have... If Aglaria M can get ready for her first start June the 7th, we have Aglaria M, Unbeatable Kemp at the end of June, Blue Bayou Dio at the end of June. I would send Yes down there. I mean, the Open at Oak Grove went in 55-1, I think, last week. Yes's class, the Open here went in 52. If Per Lucky can get around here good, I'd love to keep an open trotter here, but not 2. If Per Lucky can get around here good, then Per Lucky can stay here, and vice versa. I have no problem sending Per Lucky down there. Open goes for like 20,000. It's like an 8-hour ship from where I'm sitting right now to, well, I'll tell you how far down. I said this the other day in a video. It's 6 minutes. I looked 6 minutes from the airport to Oak Grove, which is great for me. I have no problem going down there. Here's the problem. The airport in question is actually in Tennessee. That's how close to the Tennessee border Oak Grove Raceway is. Oak Grove Racetrack. So I think it's important that we take a look at what's available down there also. Move our horses around. Being able to shuffle the deck and put horses in places they can do good is great. LD's Patrick, the class that he still has to race in Ontario, he went on the track, went to the gate at 20-1 last week. Yesterday he was a winner, 3-1. Now they opened the class up, but that was because I called and said, hey, I noticed that you had 6 or 7 horses in the non-winners 8. If you open it up, I got another one for you, coming off a break, which they did. Now they're not going to do it again. But that was what we have the ability to do. I looked at Oak Grove. I was going to send them to Oak Grove, possibly too. I have no problem going down there. The flights aren't expensive. To that little airport, I think one way was like $240. It was going to cost me $400 to fly there and back. They race on Sunday, Monday. Whatever horses we have could be in to go Sunday and Monday. I could fly out of there Monday night potentially, or Tuesday morning first thing. So I certainly believe that we will have some horses at Oak Grove very, very soon. I'm just in the final stages of trying to solidify somebody to take the horses down there for us. A number of people put names forward. It's not that I wouldn't use someone down there, but I'd rather have one of our people in place if I could. So that's what we're trying to do there. Obviously, as I just mentioned, we have Per Lucky racing here tonight. Unbeatable Kemp and Blue Bayou Dio racing Monday. We got a lot of horses racing, and it's only going to get more. There won't be a day you won't be able to open that app and have 6, 7, 8 horses in to go each day by the looks of it. A little bad news also. Massive Profit made a break fast the other night. I talked to Ross Leonard, finally get on the phone with him. As much my fault as his. And I said, hey, what was the scoop? He said, he just thought he'd get out of gear and rolled off. They were starting to trot hard. He said, now he's going to have to trot 54, 55. I think he can. He said, but he's going to have to do it cleanly. So just one of those things. I think he put a step in a bad spot and he rolled off. Now, I said to Ross, Ross, listen, I don't know you that well. I said, but I'm going to tell you the same thing I told our trainers. I need to know when you're going to do stuff. So tell me, just shoot me a message. I don't care if it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Shoot me a message after the race. Hey, Anthony, this is what happened. And then where we're going. Because Ross had said next week the sire stakes start, the actual sire stakes start. But he said they write classes for everybody. Indiana non-winners of 4 goes for real good money. He said, honestly, Anthony, I'd rather race him in there than the sire stakes his first start. He's not going to be one of the top 3, 4, 5 sire stake horses. He said there's nothing wrong with that. There's lots of classes out here. But he said, I just don't know. I said, I got to stop you right there. You treat this horse as if it was yours, because that's what I would do. Just inform me to what you're going to do. So it sounds like Ross Leonard is going to race Massive Profit in the non-winners of 4 Indiana sired stake eligible class. That's where he believes he can do the most damage. That's where he should be. Pretty simple. Don't put them in if they can't win. Now, if you're talking about a sire stake race, fine, I get that. But if there's a class out there that this colt can do good in, rather than chasing faster horses in the sire stakes, then that's where you should be. And there may be some people that'll send me a message, yeah, I don't agree. That's fine. But I'm going to leave this up to Ross Leonard, right? He's training the horse. He's trying to do the best he can with him. So I'm going to leave it up to him. I'm going to defer to him in this regard, and I'm not going to disagree with him. I think he's 100% right. So the ability to move our horses around and talk to our trainers. I talked to all our trainers last week. I saw a number of vet bills. You guys have seen them or will see them come in on some of the 2-year-olds that were a little high. My father's bill was really high. Cutie Cumbers was up a little bit, around $1,200, $1,300, which is a lot. Now we're trying to set these horses up for the summer. This cannot become a regular occurrence. Maintenance is fine, but if we're using the maintenance to get them into the summer and then keep an eye on them, great. But I'm not coming back every 2, 3, 4 weeks to inject 2-year-olds to race them. I don't think any of the 2-year-olds we sent up have any major issues that need that regular maintenance. But again, I had to remind our vets, if the bills are getting a little high, I need to know so I can pass it on to our clients. There's nothing I hate and you hate more than getting surprised, right? And we did. Last week we did some of the shipping. I knew this. In Ohio, Eldie's Patrick's bill was high, and some of the other horses that raced in Ohio. I know what I should have done was sent somebody to. At the time, we didn't have anybody to send to Southern Ohio because we were short of help over here. But I should have actively sent those horses to Southern Ohio because the shipping was a killer. Now, obviously, Eldie's Patrick did well, was a great story, but some of the other ones didn't. And that's mine. That's on me. I should have known that and been a little more proactive. So I talked to a trainer, said, I need to know when you're planning on doing vet work. I need to know when you're planning on training. We had some clients, they say, where's Resolute Bay? Where's Renegade Gypsy? They didn't race this week. Well, I didn't realize they weren't in to go until it was brought to my attention. So I need to know. If they didn't get in, let me know. If you entered them and they didn't get in, fine. If you didn't enter them, I need to know why. I need to know what your plan is. Now, as it turns out, both those horses, it's going to work out perfectly. Renegade Gypsy's going to race Wednesday in London, which will be a tightener for the grassroots. The following Friday at Grand River. The other colt will race, Resolute Bay will race Thursday at Mohawk, which will be a great tightener for Friday in Grand River. So it works out good, but I have to convey this to our clients. I shouldn't be getting emails saying, hey, where are these horses? I should be telling people beforehand. And that puts a little bit of pressure on the trainers, but you know what? That's their job. My job is to watch a stable. Your job is to watch your barn. And for me to do my job, you have to do yours. And I know that, it's never easy. Being a trainer is never easy. I felt terrible. Dominic's had a tough run for 2 weeks, and he's been down in the dumps about it, right? I told him, I said, Sailor was sick and, had some issues. He's coming back. All your horses are fine. Blue Bayou Dio, Unbeatable Kemp, you've done a great job. The horses are racing good, but just because they're not crushing them. And it's tough because he's the next shed row over from Harry Polton, who seemingly can't lose anything right now. So you get a guy who's crushing in shed row 9 and a guy who's kind of cowering in shed row 10. And I said, listen, Harry's been there. He knows, what goes up will come down. And just do the best you can when you can. And Sailor, school grade, he'll come out swinging this week, right? Unbeatable Kemp is in with Blue Bayou Dio, but again, we'll play the hand we're dealt. I think both of them will race very, very well. I think Blue Bayou Dio's coming in sharper. I don't think Unbeatable Kemp had a very favorable ship to New Jersey, and that was absolutely no fault of Mr. Silva's. It's just the way that it worked out. We had 2 horses in that barn come down sick after they raced. I suspect, even though he was certain he wasn't sick, I suspect he was. And I think he'll bounce back, but I don't know if he's 100% for Monday. But I can tell you one thing. Blue Bayou Dio, by all accounts from what Dominic tells me, is coming in razor sharp. So I told him, I said, just relax. You know, this game, if you think you're going to outsmart this game, you're in for a rude awakening. It's not for the faint of heart. You guys know that. You've been through a ton of ups and downs with us, and you just got to roll with the punches, and that's the way it is. So we have one of the biggest operations. We have the biggest operation in Canada. We have one of the biggest operations in North America, and we need to treat it as such. We have the ability, as I said to Dominic, we have the ability to move some of these horses around so we can ensure we continue to do good. Perfect example was LD's Patrick yesterday, was Patrick the Piranha last week, Stonebridge Simba last week, the World for Two in Pennsylvania. The ability to move them around makes all the difference in the world. So, as I said, this week coming up, we have a lot on the go. I was just trying to pull up the app, but I can't because I have no internet on this. A number of horses racing today. I'm very interested to see how Per Lucky and Yes are going to do here. Century Invictus in Ontario. I believe Stonebridge Simba races today, if I'm not mistaken. Can't tell. But tomorrow we have Blue Bayou Dio. We have Unbeatable Kemp. I'm really interested to drive Laugh Now. I want to get a look at our boy Laugh Now. And then obviously Gemstone Ruby Rose, who I'm not optimistic about in the Open at Mohawk. I am interested and hopeful that she'll do well in there today, or in there tomorrow. Just a ton of horses racing and a ton of things going on this week. Super excited. I'm always worried that I'm missing something. Or like the other day, I forgot to talk about Kings County. He made a break this week, by the way. I think I knew what happened. You know, Brett and Stacy had told me they wanted to start letting his hobbles out a little bit. He said, listen, you train the horse if you think he can. She messaged me back, said, yeah, he was beside a mare the whole time in the paddock, and he was all agitated, and we let his hobbles out. It happens. But last week, I didn't even talk about him. The horse was second in 53 in the Open. He raced amazing. So as it stands right now, in the next couple of weeks, we could have an Open horse and in Kings County and Scioto. We could have one of the two Open horses here in Oak Lawn. We have Patrick the Piranha in the Open Pace this week in Massachusetts. As I said, one of the two here will be in the Open here regularly. We have Locatelli coming back, White Tiger coming back, Stay Close also on Monday. Looks fantastic right now. We got a lot of good horses. A lot of good horses. And as I continue to say, and I'll say it again and again and again, aside from everything, when I step back and look at where we are and how we got here, it was all because of you. Right? I can tell you about how moving horses around and doing this and doing that, but if we didn't have the horses, we'd have nothing to move around. So I try to say it as much as I can. I appreciate everybody and all your help and all your confidence in what we do here at the stable. We always do the best we can, and man, it looks like we're poised to have a huge 2022. If you want to come out, watch the baby school. We're going to try and have a video for you guys. I suspect in a perfect world we'll have 2 schoolers of 6 probably next Friday. I can probably give you a list actually of the horses. I'll give you a little quick list of who's going, because I didn't do a list of this week. Right here, go up to 2-year-olds. So going to Mohawk this week, really quick for you guys. I don't know about Anchor's Up yet. He's a question mark. I'm not sure yet. Austral Hanover is going for sure. Captain in the Air should probably go over. Carter Michael Dio will be going over. Crantini is going over. Cutie Cumber. Enzo Aguayo is going over. Horn Player is going over. Leaps and Bounds is going over also. You see a trend here with the PA horses. I'm not taking More Than You Know yet, because More Than You Know, much like the colt we just raced in PA, I'm not in a big hurry to get to Pennsylvania with him. He is behind. He's going to take some time. And I'm not in a rush with him. I like this colt. Sipping on My Shine is going over. You guys know why. Sir Strong is also going over. Spitfire Overseas is going over. Tailgate Buzz is going over. Now, I told everybody Tailgate Buzz's hawk blew up a little bit the other day. They did x-ray him, and they say they saw tiny little fragments that were kind of floating, irritating that joint capsule. But the surgeon said, listen, I wouldn't take them out. She goes, because the way I see it, they're not going to hurt him. The way I see it, they can take them out, I can take them out, but that swelling's still going to remain for as long as it would have if you had just let them in and they maybe reattached to the joint wall. I believe is the way that it was spoke to me, unless I'm mistaken. So he's sound on it, the horse trained great on it, looks good. The hawk has a little bit of filling in it, but it's not the end of the world. He is going over to school also. Tailgate Buzz. I don't believe I have Una Madonna on that list. I believe I was going to wait a week or so with her, and that will be it. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, around 10 to 12 horses will be going to school, of our babies will be going to school at Mohawk on Friday. I'm going to train them on Tuesday. I'll give you guys a definite list, probably Tuesday after we train, for who's going behind the gate. But summer's here. It's almost June 1st. The babies in question will be racing the end of June. Ontario ones will go over there in another week or two. But for right now, 10 or 12, our first 10 or 12 will be going behind the gate. That's not true. Ohio horses might go behind the gate for the first time. Not that they have to, but I'd like to get them used to it here on Wednesday. I believe I will. Wednesday, they have the baby schoolers here at Northfield Park. So with that, I will let you guys go. We did have a good week. We weren't without our issues again, but we did have a good week. We did have a great weekend racing so far, and I hope we can keep it up tonight. So I will talk to you all very soon. Take care.